Good afternoon, everybody. We're joined by Majority Leader Monica Duran and Representative Ryan Gonzalez to really champion a great bill that is good for entrepreneurs and home chefs. And you know what? I personally am not a home chef, but I am somebody who likes to eat their wonderful food. And so we also want to not only provide more freedom to sell foods made at home, and in fact, much of it happens today, but it happens often in an extra legal way, and that's not good for anybody. It's not good for public health. It's not good for entrepreneurs. They can't necessarily use that income if they want to buy a home, anything like that. So we want to make sure people can come out of the shadows and support themselves, whether it's selling tamales or burritos on those, they make out of their home, and also, of course, representing the so many consumers and people of Colorado that want to be able to have those opportunities to buy those delicious foods. It's also, for many families, it can be extra income, but it's also for those who want to go into the culinary piece permanently and full time. This is how people get their start. Next, it might be a food truck or a restaurant, right? Once they build that following and that brand, this is kind of the American dream. We're also joined by Angel Merlos, Executive Director of Libre, and yes, an actual Colorado tamale producer, Irma Escandon. So thank you, Irma and Angel, for joining us here today at the Capitol. Colorado is home to delicious food and talented chefs and bakers. And for nearly 15 years, Coloradans have already had the freedom to make some foods in their home, like honey, jams that are in packages, even certain baked goods. So for no reason, I think it was before all of us were here at the state capitol, for whatever reason, and we applaud that they're able to do that, but then it limited it to those things. And what this bill does is it helps more Coloradans support themselves and their families and expands that menu of food that people could make at home and sell to consumers safely. And it happens to be some of my favorite foods, like tamales and tacos and burritos and cakes. And as a foodie myself, and also as somebody who is an entrepreneur in a different sector in tech, I'm very excited about the opportunity to give more Coloradans the freedom to share their delicious home-cooked foods, earning a living for themselves, and supporting their families. And these efforts are often launch pads, and this bipartisan bill breaks down barriers to allow home cooks to sell foods. It keeps balanced safeguards in place. We like to innovate in Colorado, and we like to be the first state. We're not in this. We'd be like the 12th and 13th state. So this has been done. It's been safe. It's been a good experience. We want to learn from that and catch up in many ways to make sure that all of the abuelas and tias out there are able to support themselves and their families and get a great start in business while providing a service that we know people love. So, and I want to thank Representative Gonzalez for his dedication to this. This is, very often, last year was his first session, and he brought a bill, and this happens a lot. You don't make it in your first session. It takes work. It takes involving stakeholders. He's done a great job of doing that after last session, and of course by being able to add Majority Leader Duran and really work with people has been a tremendous step forward with this bill. I'm going to speak briefly in Spanish, and then I'll turn it over to Representative Gonzalez. Estamos aquí con la líder de la mayoría, Monica Duran, y el representante Ryan Gonzalez para apoyar una ley de los dos partidos que mejorará la vida de los coloradenses. Esta ley ayudaría a más personas en Colorado a vender comida hecha en casa, como abuelas y tías y todos. Así más familias pueden ganar dinero y compartir comida rica con la comunidad. Y también hay muchos miembros de la comunidad, como yo, quien quiere comprar y comer esta comida buena y queremos más oportunidades para disfrutarlos en un día seguro, y también esta ley puede mejorar las oportunidades para comprar comidas deliciosas en la comunidad. Now I will proudly introduce Representative Gonzalez.
Well, thank you, Governor, and members of the media. I want to thank you all for being here, and to the people who are spending some time with me today at the Capitol on a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I just want to say I'm very passionate about this bill. This bill has a lot of importance to people in my community, to the entrepreneurs, to the people across Colorado who in turn sell these cottage foods from their house, sell them at stores, sell them at venues, sell them pretty much in their neighborhoods. And I think we need to open the doors for innovation and entrepreneurship to really empower our community across Colorado to make sure that it's safe and that it is legal. We know today that cottage foods like tamales, burritos, tortas, salads, and sandwiches, and the like, temperature-controlled foods, they're still being sold here across Colorado. We've seen it, I've seen it, you've seen it. And I think it's long overdue for Colorado to actually be on part of the process in one of the states that legalizes cottage foods that require temperature control. This has been an ongoing process since last year. As the governor reiterated, this is the second attempt at this bill. I had more time this year to do stakeholding process, and I'm very proud of the work that me and Majority Leader Duran, along with the governor's office, we've done extensive work on this, and I appreciate everybody, the stakeholdering that was done. Very thorough, very consistent. We have had conversations with many people across the board, the restaurants, the public health people, and the vendors which are central and essential to part of this policy. I would also like to just say that people across Colorado have been very excited about this bill. I have gotten numerous emails, I have gotten numerous phone calls, messages, and people approaching me across Colorado who are very excited about this bill. And they have two words, is thank you for bringing this bill forward. We have a lot of cottage foods people across Colorado today, and you will hear from one of them, you will hear from people about why this policy is so important from their own perspective and their own experiences. I think one of the very important pieces of this legislation to me is the fact that we are finally able to be on the map with other states who allow for temperature-controlled foods. Since 2012, we have had cottage foods, but that do not require temperature controls, honey, flour, seeds, things of that nature. And so I'm very proud that we are finally opening the door for more food freedom, which is what this bill is about. I would just say that Colorado is very in the spirit of entrepreneurship, and I think this bill allows for that. And I'm very proud of the work that me and Majority Leader have done extensively this session alone, and almost what seems to be day 40, 42 of the session. It's crazy that we're almost at the halfway mark, but I appreciate everybody's work and the input that we have had. This bill will be heard on Thursday in the Agriculture Committee. We're working with people to finish up a deal. So I'm very proud that we're confident that we're going to get there. You will hear from other stakeholders probably in the next coming days from their perspectives about this bill. But with that being said, I want to turn it over to my wonderful co-prime, Majority Leader Duran, to give you guys a little bit of insight on this cottage food bill.
Thank you so much, Representative Gonzalez. Thank you, Governor, for being such a supporter and really working with us as a team on this bill, and everyone else who has worked with us. And thank you for being here today. Today we're talking about something that is more important than food. It's about culture, it's about dignity, and it's about economic opportunity. The Tamale Act is about honoring tradition while opening doors to entrepreneurship across Colorado. For generations, tamales have brought families together. In my own family, when my grandmother could no longer work in the fields, she became the cook for the farm workers. She was an entrepreneur before she even knew what the word was. She fed people with her hands, her heart, and she hustled a lot. Across Colorado right now, there are grandmothers, mothers, fathers, and dreamers doing the same exact thing. They are talented, they are hardworking, and they are ready to build something of their own. But too often, outdated regulations make it harder than it needs to be. The Tamale Act modernizes our cottage food laws to safely allow the sale of homemade tamales and similar cultural traditional foods. It recognizes that food traditions are not a loophole. They're a part of who we are and part of our culture. This bill does not lower safety standards. It does not cut corners. It creates clear guidelines so people can legally and safely sell the foods that have been part of their culture for generations. This is especially important in our rural communities, where starting a restaurant or food truck can feel out of reach for many. The Tamale Act creates the first step, a pathway, what I call a beginning. Small businesses are the backbone of Colorado economy. When we support micro-entrepreneurships, we strengthen our neighborhoods, we keep money circulating locally, and we create ladders of opportunity for families and have historically been shut out of capital and traditional businesses. And let me be clear, this bill has all eyes on it from across the state and nationally because it represents something bigger. It represents a state willing to say that culture and commerce can coexist, that tradition and regulation can work together, that we trust our communities to thrive when given the chance. As Colorado House Majority Leader and as a proud Latina, I carry my community with me in every policy I support. I know what it means to watch your family work hard for every dollar they earn. I know what it means to see potential that just needs a fair shot. The Tamale Act is that fair shot. It's about economic mobility, it's about honoring heritage, it's about saying that entrepreneurship does not have to start with a bank loan. Sometimes it starts in your very own kitchen. And when we open doors like this, we're not just passing policy, we are passing possibility. Thank you so much for being here today. And with that, I want to introduce Angel Morlos. If you could come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here and showing support for this amazing bill. I want to come up here and share a little bit about how this came about. 2 years ago, Arizona passed this law. My colleagues in Arizona worked on it and were instrumental in making sure this was championed. I looked into the laws of Colorado, and I was shocked to see that Colorado had these barriers. Shocked because Colorado, my home state, likes to lead in economic prosperity and remove barriers for all entrepreneurs, no matter how big or small. And when I brought this idea to Representative Gonzalez, I was happy to know that he was on board, and from the get-go, he did everything possible to make sure that we could get this to where it is now. And I'm happy to know that this year we have stronger support with the governor, Majority Leader Monica Duran, and the community. And with that, I'll leave it at, I believe that this bill really demonstrates and shows this is as Colorado as it gets when it comes to the type of policies that we see in Colorado. So thank you all, and I will pass it over to Irma to share her story. She's going to be speaking in Spanish.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Irma. Ay, perdón, es mi primera vez. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Irma Escandón. Yo represento a la comunidad, estoy apoyando esta ley por el hecho de que muchas personas tienen la habilidad de cocinar, pues yo soy una de ellas, y en realidad no tenemos la oportunidad de poner un restaurante, no tenemos la oportunidad de comprar, o sea, la economía muchas veces no se presenta para esto. Entonces, muchas de las veces lo que necesitamos es apoyo, no queremos que nos traten como a una persona que pues no está haciendo las cosas bien, porque no tenemos el apoyo en realidad, o sea, ahorita por las leyes que hay no nos apoyan como para, si yo quiero cocinar en mi casa, no puedo, y a lo mejor eso a mí me ayudaría a salir adelante, en la economía a mí me ayudaría. Entonces, a mí me gustaría que apoyaran esta ley por mí, por muchas personas de la comunidad que están en esa situación. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. We're happy to take some questions.
Can you explain how this would work without a commercial kitchen?
Sorry?
A commercial kitchen, can you explain
Sure.
how this would work?
Do you want to update the words first? Yeah.
Is there safety stopgaps that you have to go through?
So there are amendments coming in committee right now. What we have on the website and that we have in its current form, it has some specific guidelines. One of them is a food safety requirement, so they have to take a food safety course show proof of completion, and have a certification process. We also want to make sure that we are limiting the items up to 5 food items of what they can sell. This was done in negotiation in part with the public health departments. So we have a food safety requirement, we have a temperature control requirement, we have a food limit requirement, and we have some transportation and food safety things that we're putting in the amendment to make sure that we have that without the commercial kitchen aspect.
Are they subject to inspection?
So if there are potential investigations that need to be made, they are still liable, so the investigations can be ongoing. So we are giving local municipalities and counties authority to do so at their discretion. We're not mandating that, but it's depending on each public health department. We are not prohibiting them from doing that, but we're also not mandating it either.
Will you require liability insurance?
We do not.
I would also add, since public health departments are the entities that would do this, they also have a mechanism in the bill where if it costs them money and they're spending money on it, they can recoup that with fines. So they won't be out any additional costs if they do have to, for instance, go inspect kitchens. But we have a very localized approach to public health in our state, and each public health department does that. We have, of course, a state health department, but we're mostly in a regulatory role and a support role of our local authorities.
I just have a couple more.
Yes.
How far will this go? Tamales, burritos, hot cakes?
Sure. 5 categories.
Yeah, so it's just 5 items. Anything that requires temperature controlled specifically. So it could be sandwiches, it can be salads, it could be cakes, it could be dessert. Anything that requires temperature controlled. But we're limiting it up to 5 items that they can sell at a time.